Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Angel Academy with Bridget and Mallory. I'm Bridget.
And I'm Mallory.
And in this podcast, we talk all about awakening to your Dharma, or your soul's purpose here on Earth.
As long as we are human, we are in the Angel Academy. The journey of our soul never ends. We hope this podcast can show you some tools to use along your journey of remembrance. Enjoy! Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 4 of Angel Academy podcast. We hope that you are enjoying so far, and we hope you have enjoyed our previous episode about good old periods. Yes. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about all things minimalism. We know that minimalism is different for everyone, every family, every individual. It all is going to look different, but it boils down to what is minimalism mean to you as an individual versus a comparison game of what is minimalism, because there is no rules and it can change throughout your life depending on your scenario. So whether you have a family or whether you're single or whether you're moving around a lot or traveling across country, it's all going to look different. So we hope that you enjoy our conversation about minimalism and let us know what you think. How do you keep it minimal in your life? Or do you keep it minimal? Or do you like to have a lot of stuff all the time? Everyone's different. And we appreciate all of you. Enjoy. Okay. Minimalism to me really boils down to what is the most important things in my life and what am I valuing over other things. So, for example, right now, the most important thing or things in my life is a safe space, my school, my schoolwork, my school career, which I will be in for a while, um, and my quote unquote business work. So, podcasting, my personal podcast, um, my own kind of like healing work, which is going to kind of reach into my own like business stuff too. I don't really, and the word business might not be the best word, but that's the word I'm using right now. But yeah, like building my life basically is the most important thing. So what are the things that I don't really want to focus on too much? So that's going to be like cleaning. Like I don't really have a ton of time to clean. So like I don't really want to do that. Like folding laundry, like that takes forever. I have a really small closet, like digging through my closet, organizing, reorganizing, getting rid of stuff, all of that. Like, God, it takes like such a long time. And it's like really stressful if you think about it too. Like, how long does it take to clean? Like, it takes me 2 or 3 hours sometimes to just clean up the mess from like the week, just because, you have all of your laundry that builds up and you make little messes in different areas of your room or your living space, your kitchen, like that's another thing, your bathroom, like it really just adds up. And like for me, like I get anxiety when I am in a messy space, so I'll prioritize cleaning over the paper that I have to write, because I can't focus in a messy space. But I am also kind of a messy person. I'm not dirty, like nothing is really dirty, so it doesn't have to be cleaned right away, but I don't like looking at clutter. So if there's like a pile on my floor of clothes that I need to put up, like that's going to have to go up because I won't be able to focus. And that is a huge, like, I mean, kind of time consumer. And time is the most important thing to me right now. For all of you that have been in school, you know how much time it takes. I know Bridget knows how much time it takes. Like, you don't want to spend your time cleaning up after yourself. Like, that's just too much. Or picking out an outfit. Like, when you have so many clothes, it's like, what am I going to wear? Well, If you had a minimal amount of clothes of all of your favorite things, it would take you 4 seconds to get ready because they're all of your favorite things. Basically, to me, like finding my minimalism mojo as a single young person with no kids or animals, to me, it's about let's just get rid of like everything. Everything that I don't just absolutely love, I'm like, let's get rid of it. But there's also another element in my life. I'm a painter and an artist, and I make clothes and I do crafts. So I have a whole other area of like art supplies, which all of you artists out there know the struggle because art supplies is expensive, and keeping those art supplies is like, I mean, you can't just buy art supplies every time you're like, oh, I want to do this thing. It's like, you're not just going to go and buy it every time. It's like, I'm going to do this thing and I have all the supplies that I need right now. So that's another thing that I've been kind of balancing with is like, I have all of my paintings, my personal paintings that I've done, and then all of my art supplies, and they take up so much room. I have a sewing machine and boxes of fabric, and it's just a whole thing. So that's something that I've been really trying to like be minimal on as well, as like, do I think that I'll actually use this fabric? And if it's a maybe, I'm getting rid of it. If it's 100% yes, I'm keeping it, because in my mind, I can always get more of that. But I also have screen printing supplies, which I don't know if I'm going to screen print, but it was expensive. And I don't want to buy one if I do get a wild hair and say I want to screen print. So it's all just like a balancing act. And like everyone is different. How are you practicing minimalism, Bridget?
So for me, I think I'm still trying to figure it out. So my lifestyle in the past, really since I moved out of my parents' house. So, okay, let me start over. Okay, so for me, I think I'm still figuring out minimalism and what it means to me as I am living in new places. And the past 5 or 6 years, my lifestyle has been very nomadic. I will travel for months at a time and then come back and live somewhere and then, hop out again for another 6 months or whatever. And so I really just have never had a ton of stuff. The places that I've lived in the past, the furniture was pretty much there already. And I've been very fortunate to just have things appear for me when I've needed them. Like when I've needed a bed, someone has had a bed for me. Or if I needed a nice table, someone would provide me with this table. So I've been very fortunate in that way, to where it's like I didn't pay for this, I didn't buy this myself. So now I can kind of recycle it and give it to someone who is going to use this when I want to pack up a backpack and leave the country for however long. So I didn't have a lot of stuff to begin with, but now that I am living on my own, I have come to a point in my life where I do like to live comfortably. That is important to me, and I realize I do like having a bed. I didn't always sleep on a bed in previous years. I slept on a little cot on the floor or whatever, and that was fine. But now I realize I do like having a bed, and I want that, and so that's important to me. I think for a lot of people it is, but yeah. So I like my bed, but when it comes to eating or watching a show or reading a book, I'm really content sitting on the floor, or I have little meditation pillows that I like to sit on for a little support. I also have this like foldable Thai yoga mat, or some people call it like a kapak mattress. that I use, and I put this like sheepskin over it, and that's like my little couch. So it's very easy to fold up and to tuck away. If I wanted to hop in my car and pack all my belongings, I would be able to fit most everything in my car aside from my bed. But again, this bed that I use now was given to me, and so I'm probably going to recycle it when I choose to leave where I'm at. So I think being minimalist for me has been quite easy up until this point in my life, or still to this point in my life. It's been pretty easy. I would say my thing is I just don't like clutter. I don't like having a bunch of things. I don't like to hold on to a bunch of clothes, especially if I'm not wearing them. If I haven't worn something for 5 or 6 months, it needs to go, because I believe with clothing, with furniture, all of these things, paintings, even like all of this stuff holds a particular energy. And sometimes it's like, I mean, yes, you can cleanse things and whatever, purify. I'm not saying it's like contaminated stuff, but there comes a time, like for me, I have certain outfits that remind me of certain times in my life or certain memories or things I was going through. And when I look at those clothes, if I put them on, sometimes I don't feel good in them, not because I don't like the article of clothing itself, but because I'm like, I have a memory associated with this that triggers something or whatever. So when it comes to clothes, I am constantly recycling my clothes. I don't buy clothes new hardly ever. Most of my clothes were either given to me or I get secondhand. So it's not like I'm spending a lot of money and then giving away. But I'm just a huge believer of if you're not using it, get rid of it. And that's just how I like to live, because I grew up in a household where it was packed with clutter. It was like an obstacle course walking through my home growing up. And I hated that because I have anxiety, and that triggers my anxiety and makes me feel claustrophobic and overstimulated. And so for me, less is more. And I'd much rather decorate my home, like get some nice plants or some pretty tapestries or a cool like rock lamp, just something to kind of like jazz up the space, lift the vibration without being some massive object. Because for me, I'm more comfortable having my meditation pillows and my sheepskin on the floor with some blankets and watching Netflix, being surrounded by all of my plants and my pretty woven tapestries, things like that, rather than needing this massive couch and an ottoman and a side coffee table. Like for me, I don't need that, and for some people they like that, and I get that. But I think it's just finding like what you like and what you need. And for me, with my lifestyle, I do want to be able to pack up and leave for 6 months if I want to, and not have a bunch of stuff that I have to haul around or that I have to put into storage. So I think for now, that's kind of where I'm at, is finding that balance, being comfortable in my space and having a nice ambiance, because this is my sanctuary. My home is my safe, sacred place. So I don't like to skimp in that area, but I also do not feel like I need a lot of stuff right now, and I'm happy with what I have. And so yeah, I can go a lot deeper into that, and I will, but I wanna see if Mal has anything to add to that, or thoughts of your own.
Yeah. So I kind of want to go into like the anxiety factor, because I think that's what draws a lot of people to minimalism and the minimalist lifestyle, is like easing that anxiety and easing the stress that comes with owning a lot of things or owning very large objects. So I'll kind of go into like my personal outlook on it, and then I'll kind of go a little bit broader to kind of welcome the people that do have families and maybe more responsibilities than, maybe you and I do, like that don't maybe travel as much, or that, you know what I'm trying to say. So for me, my anxiety comes in, what am I going to do with all of my stuff when I'm ready to go? Because you and I share that, like, we kind of are in a new place every year. So I've bounced around, my area, in my state, but I have done my fair share of traveling as well. But I am in a different home at least once a year, whether it's in a camper or a house or an apartment or wherever it is. I feel like I'm just constantly moving from place to place to place to place. And it just seems like it's always just such a hassle. Like you got to lug all of your stuff, and like you don't have something that you need to get, or you have too much of this thing that you need to get rid of. And it's like, my anxiety comes in, like, I'm moving not out of state, but further away from, my current city. And if it doesn't fit in my car, I really don't want it. And I know that I could get a trailer or whatever and take it with me, but I just really don't want it. Like, I want to know that, like, when I'm ready to move to another state, or if I'm ready to, pack up my, like, a few, like, bins or totes of my things and get rid of everything else, like, I want to know that I can do that with ease. I don't want it to have to be a big thing, a big fiasco. Like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? Um, so that's where I've had, like, a lot of anxiety about it lately, actually, because my move is approaching in just a few months. And I'm like, I have a lot of stuff to get rid of. I'm looking at my couch right now, like, I can't wait to get rid of this. And I'm looking around at the guitar that I haven't played in years, like, I can't wait to get rid of you so someone else can play you. And I just have so many things that I'm like, I think I would be perfectly happy without this thing. And if I just so happen to need a thing, I trust, like Bridget was saying, I trust that it'll come into my life some way or another. For me, it's really easy to get rid of clothing. It's harder with shoes because shoes are expensive. I think it's the expensive items that I have a hard time getting rid of, because if, that if factor comes into play, if I need another one, I'll have to buy another one. But not necessarily. That's a very limiting way to go about it, because people are constantly getting rid of stuff. And yeah, there's Facebook Marketplace, but there's also just people that want to upgrade their couch. So they're getting rid of their perfectly fine couch, but they just need to get rid of it. There are yard sales, there are estate sales. Like, there's always a way of finding a new, quote unquote, expensive piece if you happen to need it. Or you can practice sitting on the floor, which I personally love. I'm always sitting on the floor. I don't need chairs. I like sitting on the floor. It's where I'm comfortable. So, a couple of pillows, a little rug, maybe a very small, like, coffee table so I can spread out my, like, homework. I'm good. Like, I don't have a TV. I don't need that. I'll just watch, Netflix on my laptop. Like, I really thrive in that, like, very minimalist way. But I also understand people that have families and dogs and that do need more things. When you have a family with kids, you have to have places to put the kid toys and the kid clothes. And it's not just you anymore. It's not just a single person, it's a whole family. And so, how do you practice minimalism in that sense? Well, you still practice the same tools, but you factor in more people into it. So, just because you're comfortable sitting on the floor doesn't mean that your kid is. And you can get your kid, depending on how old they are, of course, you can get your kid involved in it too. And, like, hey, like, can tell that, how are you most comfortable? Like, do you like sitting on the floor that she has? And I think that she would thrive in a more minimalist lifestyle. But fun with this. Like, you can, it's not my decision to make. It's her decision to make. And it's
if
everyone's like
you're
unique
with a
path in
partner
deciding
who
like
isn't
what
minimal,
is the
you
most
just have to have
important
that
things
conversation.
to
Like,
you,
I want a more
and
minimalist
everything
lifestyle.
else
What do
let
we
go
need?
of,
What do we
or at
value?
least
Do we
take them
value
into
our
storage, and in 6
time
months, if you
and
decide,
money over,
you know, we haven't used this and I forgot that I owned this, well, chances are you probably don't need it and you will probably never use it again. And if you do use it again, you'll probably very quickly be getting rid of it as well.
Yeah, it's for me, I'm speaking as a young woman in my 20s. I don't have kids, I don't have pets. So I know that everybody's situation is a little bit different. And it is like Mallory said, we have these tools and we do have to apply more people into it now. And I haven't had that experience, so I cannot speak through that lens as much as I would like to. I can only speak for um, where my own experience as a female living without any other children or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's, for me, I do not like clutter. Like I said, it does bring about a lot of anxiety for me. And if a space starts to get messy, that really sets me in a weird way. It really changes my energy. It changes how I feel. I feel like I need to clean it. I can get a little bit OCD like that. And so it's like Mallory said, I don't want to be cleaning all the time. I don't want to be trying to find how to stack and how to organize so that I can fit all of this stuff in my teeny apartment, because my space is small. And while I don't have a lot of stuff, furniture wise, I do have a lot of like little trinkets and things, wall hangings, things like that. Um, and that's great. But even with the little things that I have, it gets overwhelming for me at some points if it just feels like too much. Um, and I really see my home as like my little studio, like my little dance studio, yoga studio, where I can really spread out, lie down on the floor. And I just, for me, I don't feel like I need a lot of things. However, I do notice myself in this kind of mindset of um, like, because I like to travel and I like to be able to pack up all my stuff and live out of my backpack if I need to, I think that's great. But I've noticed that I've gotten into this kind of like, it's either this or it's that. It's either you get to go travel, but you have to live out of your tiny backpack, and that's how it's got to be, or you can have your home with all your belongings and your bed and your furniture, but then you can't travel for 6 months at a time or something. And so I've been in this very like kind of black and white, this or that, you can't have both mindset. And I believe that I can have both. I can have my home that is my sacred space and have my bed, and have my belongings that hold my energy, but also be able to go and travel for extended periods at a time and do my thing, and travel in a minimalist way, just carrying around my backpack and whatever else. So I do believe you can have both, and that's something that I'm working on aligning in my life, because I'm young. I'm in my 20s. I know for most people in our 20s, financially, it is more difficult to have both at the same time, because, we're still coming into what we're doing and figuring out finances and things like that. So I guess when I say this, that's something I want to get to in the future, is being able to have both, being able to travel for extended periods, but then be able to come back to my sacred space. And still, at this point in my life, I don't need a lot of things. And I get there are people who they just like to live with a couch and a television. And I get that. Like, I get that. My brother is that way, and he thinks I'm crazy living the way I do, but I see it from both ends. Like, people want to feel comfortable in your home. I think it's just a matter of like what makes you feel comfortable. For some, it is that couch and the ottoman and the coffee table and that kind of thing. For me, it's my sheepskin, my plants, my rock lamp, my lava lamp, and my tapestry, and I'm good. Like that's how I feel safe and that's how I feel comfortable. So I think it's really just kind of knowing yourself and like what works for you, and you can adjust from there. And it does not have to, you know, go big or go home, all or nothing. Like it does not have to be that big of a gap between what is minimalist versus what is overindulging. Like, I think it's just kind of finding your happy medium and based around your personal lifestyle and how you live. So, um, yeah, I think I'm still figuring it out very much. And when is the time to buy that little side table, and when is the time to say, you know, I don't need that. And I think I do a really good job at it, because I have a lot of the things that I do have were given to me. My mom works at a thrift store. I can't remember if I said that already, but she buys a lot of little knickknacks, a bunch of things. She just loves to thrift shop, and she gives me these things, and I have quite a collection of little trinkets, and it honestly kind of stresses me out. Um, Even though it's something so small, it's just like I just don't need all of these little things. I don't have even surfaces to put them on. So I've been getting rid of so much this year, and I don't know, things just cycle through. We get rid and then we buy when we need, but I think it's finding that balance of learning how to buy and where to buy. I'm a huge fan of Buffalo Exchange, thrift shops, getting high quality secondhand things, and that really works for me because I can then recycle, or do what I got to do without feeling like I'm losing all this money or this big investment. So
Yeah, everything that you said was spot on to me. Like I totally agree and can relate to so many of those things that you were saying. Like the surface area, I love that you said that, because the more surface area that we have, the more stuff that we put in it. The less surface area that we have, the less clutter that we're going to have. So if we have, and I'm speaking for myself here as I look around my room, I have so many surface things, so many little tables, and like I know once I have like my own apartment, I'm living in a house that has been lived in for years, and it came with everything that it could need. So all of my stuff is kind of like in my room. So it looks a little bit more cluttered now than, if it was spread out throughout an apartment. So I do need to be mindful of that. Like it looks like crazy a lot just because it's all consolidated to a single room, but I do still need to keep, some stuff. I can't get rid of everything, but like the surface area things, like if you don't have surface area, chances are you're not going to have all of your little trinkets and little gadgets and things, books that you don't need, etc. Um, because there's not going to really be any space for it. Just like if you don't have all of your little end tables and coffee tables, and like there's nothing to put things on. And I think that's a really big thing, is like the more things you have, the more space you have, the more you are like kind of likely to fill it up. And not to say that like if you want a big house, like have a big house, but we can decorate in different ways. So like I'm like Bridget, I really love tapestries. And I actually have one of Bridget's tapestries hanging up right now that she left with me when she was doing her like last big move. And I have several of her things that she's gotten from the thrift shop from her mom. So that's actually gotten passed down to me. Like, luckily, that thrift shop has like really cool stuff. But yeah, like I like decorating with that kind of stuff because it makes the area feel warm and inviting. But other things like TVs and coffee tables, like that doesn't feel inviting to me, but it might feel very inviting for someone else. And Um, it's again totally just like a very unique kind of situation, but I think something that can help with deciding like, well, how can I be more minimalist if I don't know how to be minimalist? What if I don't know what I want? What if I don't know what I need? Well, the first step is just to kind of analyze what you have and what you use and kind of go through like what are your spending habits? Like what are you spending on? Like are you spending on clothing? Are you spending on furniture? Are you like where does your money go? I know a lot of people they spend on like getting a new wardrobe every season, which is fine if that's what you do. But, if you want to practice minimalism, really go through and analyze like, what do I wear? What don't I wear? What is my individual style? What does my life look like? And like, when you kind of tune into like what's important to you, you kind of stop you stop looking at the outside of like, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need? You kind of go inward and say, like, what do I like and what's going to fit me and my personality the best way? Like, some people do best when they only have like black and white in their wardrobe. Like, Vera Wang only wears black because it's not a stressful thing getting ready. Like, she knows that she's going to like everything that she puts on. And I really get on with that. Like, I find myself leaning towards that as well. I mean, not only does it look like so chic and really put together, but it doesn't really take any effort. Like, it is effortless, which is like really kind of what we're getting towards with the minimalist thing, is like how little effort can we put in just living. Like, everything just feels like kind of such a big stress. Like, when you wake up in the morning, like, oh, like I got to make my bed with all of my pillows and then clean off my surface areas and dusting. And it's like, it takes so much effort. Like, how can we like be with like ease in our life? And like, ease might look different to everyone, of course, but like for me, it like goes into back into like the wardrobe, like just having so many clothes, but not really wearing that many of them. And I'm constantly getting rid of stuff, but I still feel like this overwhelming amount of stuff. And it's just so interesting. Like, it is just a practice in deciding what is your individual style. And your style is not only in your wardrobe, your style is just in your lifestyle, right? So your lifestyle might involve sitting on a couch, but getting rid of your table, or moving everything to the floor and keeping your table, or getting rid of the table and the couch because you're just ready to get rid of everything. It all just depends on like what your individual needs and wants are. And sometimes you don't really know what you want and what you need until you start on the journey, because sometimes you get rid of something and you're like, crap, I should have kept that. And then you have to get it again, which I've done, and it sucks. But then you know that you really want it. And also, like, buying high quality items, especially like Bridget was saying, like getting them secondhand. Like, when you get high quality, it's going to last a long time. When you buy your lesser expensive, like for example, my couch is falling apart because it was cheap, but it fulfilled my needs. But now, like, I don't like my couch anymore because it's falling apart. So I'm probably just gonna like give it to Goodwill or something. I mean, it's not falling apart. Like, it still looks really good. It's just like, I guess some of the screws are loose, but I don't know. It's just like, it just feels weird, but it'll serve someone else's purpose like so much better than mine too, which is great because like someone might need a couch that'll just get them by for, a year or two. And then they can either get rid of it, give it away, like whatever. But like, I guess what I'm getting at is like the high quality items that are going to really last you a long time, and you put a lot of thought into, like, everything that I buy now that isn't given to me, I put a lot of thought into. Like, am I going to use this long term? And if so, if I am going to use it long term, is it going to travel well? Like, will I be able to, break it down into where I can stack it neatly? Like, I just bought um, a bookshelf, but I bought this specific bookshelf because I can unscrew all of the screws, break it down, and lay it flat for when I move. And that's the kind of stuff that I look for is it easily movable? And is it easily like broken down to where it can potentially be put in storage for a few months or, whatever that thing is. But it's all thoughtful. And the things that I get that I put a lot of thought into, I have no, I have no regret in my mind about. And that goes from clothes to makeup to food to everything.
Yeah, that was really good points. And for me, I think the easiest place for me to start is clothing. I know if I'm going to go and buy anything, more so than others, it's going to be clothing. That's kind of my sore spot a little bit. So, but it's also the easiest thing for me to get rid of because I do buy all secondhand and I have just been given a lot of hand-me-downs that I've worn for years and they still work for me. Um, but I think for me, clothes are the easiest thing for me to recycle, to throw away if I need to, because I can look at it or put it on or whatever, and if it doesn't make me feel like amazing, it's a really, for me, it's pretty easy to just be like, okay, this needs to move on. I mean, I know day to day we feel different, and some days we're feeling ourselves in some outfits, and some days we're not. So that is something to take into account. But I think it's just a matter of like, how long have I had this? How many times have I actually worn this? And how do I feel in it when I put it on or when I look at it? And just kind of summing up those questions helps me to get rid of a lot easier. And also, I'm a big fan of like, I don't really do a lot of taking to Goodwill and things like that. I'm a big fan of like regifting. My love language is not so much like material gifts. I have never been like a big Christmas shopper, things like that. I would prefer to make things. But if I have a birthday or something, I'm a huge fan of regifting the items that I have that are in really good condition because I'm like, I love getting secondhand things because I like that. And I think when it comes to clothing, especially, like Mallory and I used to live together. And if I'm like, I haven't worn this amazing skirt in like 8 months, but I think Mallory would look so cute in that. And that skirt needs to be seen. And, it makes it that much easier for me to let go of knowing that I'm giving it to someone who's going to love it and who's going to appreciate it rather than it just hiding away in my closet. So, clothing is kind of where I start. Furniture, I don't have a lot of that right now, and that's not something that I think too much about. But I also I find my comfort in other ways. So while I may not have a lot of comfy chairs and cozy pillows and blankets and a ton of decorations in my home, I have what I need. I have what feels good, but I also choose to indulge in other ways. Like, how do I make myself feel comfortable by buying organic when I can? So spending money that maybe I would have spent on a new table or a nice lamp, but rather using that to instead purchase organic food, or invest, get a massage, treat my body nicely in a way, because this is all body care, sitting on a couch, getting that good pillow, all that stuff. Yeah, it's good. And I see why people do it. But for me, my body care is like, can I do that yoga class or get a massage for myself or treat myself to a pedicure, make myself feel special someday, or every day. But yeah, so it's like I find ways to make myself, you know, enjoy. I can do things like getting a pedicure by using money that I would have put towards home items or clothing items, just using it to treat myself in another way. It really just makes me feel better overall and enjoy my coming back to my little studio space. And so yeah, that works for me. And there were some other points I wanted to touch upon when you were talking, Mel, and I just feel like my brain is leaving me now, and it's frustrating. But yeah, so clothing is where I start, but I think that that feeling can kind of apply to anything. Like if you live in a home where you have maybe a crowded office space that you're in all the time, and you see the same things every day, it almost becomes like second nature, and you don't even realize, like, oh my God, it's actually really cluttered in here. And when I'm in here doing my office work, I feel really stressed out and tired, and but it's like, so how do you feel when you're in that space, when you're in your office or when you're in your bedroom? Like, how does it make you feel? And if there's any sort of like stress or discomfort or whatever, like you can use that as an indicator of, well, what items do I have in here? Man, it is really cluttered. There is a lot of stuff. This blanket reminds me of my ex, whatever, and kind of use that, how you're feeling, as an indicator of what do I need to keep, what am I not using, so we can use that as kind of our key into the door of opening these other pathways to what it means to have more stuff or to have less stuff, and diving to those deeper levels of like, what is needed? Why do I have this? What is my intention for having this? Is it because it really supports my lower back when I sit down? Or is it because I got pulled into this commercial and, wanted to get this good deal or whatever? So I think that's also been a thing too, is like, do I buy this because it's a good deal? And learning to distinguish again, like, but do I really need this? Yeah, maybe it was $5, but I don't really need that. And I do that sometimes. And every time it's just kind of a learning lesson for me. So the other thing I wanted to talk on though was, I do remember when I first moved out from my mom's house and I was going to be living on my own, living with roommates. For the first time, something that came to my mind was like, okay, I have to get a bed, I have to get a couch, I have to have my dresser, I have to get a TV. I had this like list in my head, and because that's like what I see in houses. That's what I see when I watch TV. Like that's what I see when I would go anywhere, they have these certain items, and that's what you should have in a house. And that's kind of like what I had ingrained in the first year I lived on my own. I did have like a dresser in my bedroom. I had some extra kind of bigger items, but I never had a couch or anything. But I realized, even before moving in officially, I realized what I was kind of doing in my head of like making this list of things that I need to get because that's what I think I should have in my home, but rather like taking it inward and saying, do I really want that stuff though? Like, I don't really watch TV, and if I do, I can access it on my laptop. Or just like questioning, like, do I need that stuff actually, or is this just stuff that I've seen growing up wherever, and I think that this is how it should be? So that was something interesting for me as well, and I realized like I'm just not like that. I don't like having a TV. I don't like having that kind of frequency in my space, and like nothing against TVs. I like watching TV, but just like I that's just not something that I need in my home. And I think that there's so many people out there like who would really love and appreciate these things that we have had that we're just holding on to but not really using. So it's like you can use it like who would benefit from this? Like you can make it more of a personal thing rather than like, okay, I got to make a run to the Goodwill, or I got to go to Plato's Closet and drop this stuff off and do this process and yada yada. But rather like you could make it a more personal thing. Like I always, when I'm getting rid of stuff here at my apartment, there's like a collective laundry space where everybody in the complex does their laundry. And I pretty much every time I do laundry, I have a little box, a cardboard box filled with free things of my clothing, of just things that I'm not using anymore. I don't know how it continues to accumulate, but it does. But I don't know. I make it more personal. I give it to somebody who's in my apartment complex, and I give it like a free, like anybody can take it, so people can kind of sift through it. And for me, like that makes me kind of happy to think that there could be some like 12-year-old girl who like really likes my shirt that I put in there, or like this sunscreen that I'm not using, but somebody here in the desert could really use the sunscreen, and that's kind of expensive. So like, just where is this going to go to, and how would that make them happy? And I can kind of visualize that in my head, of like seeing someone else wearing my clothes or using my old mug or whatever. And it's so I think something about like making it personal as to where is this stuff going when I'm getting rid of it can make it that much easier to release. It's not just like, oh, I'm throwing it away or something, but it's like it's going to a good cause, and that in itself becomes like, for me, like a fun thing in getting rid of things that I'm not using. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. I don't know if that was totally in response to everything Mel was saying. My brain's kind of like space cadet right now, but yes, that's my 2 cents. So Mel, how do you feel?
So, yeah, I think you brought up a lot of really, really good points. And I've been trying to keep tally in my head of like, oh, I need to hit that. I need to hit on that. I need to hit on that. Like, but everything that you're saying, I enjoy the like regifting. I think like if everyone like took, a couple of Christmases or a couple of like, holidays, gift giving holidays to re-gift the items that they have in their house. So they were open to getting rid of and also receiving gifts. I think that one, we would eliminate a ton of waste on the planet because, I mean, think about it, like whatever holiday it is, whether it's a birthday, uh, any gift giving holiday, how much stuff are you buying new, like brand new? I always buy new stuff. Like I don't re-gift. And because I just don't think that I have anything that anyone would enjoy really. Um, like the people that I buy gifts for in my family, like I just don't know if they would enjoy any of the things that I have. And I also like I have a weird thing with regifting, like that it's, either like lazy or you're trying to like be cheap or whatever. Like that's like where like my mind goes when I think about like, oh, well, I'll just re-gift. Like, but I would rather re-gift and receive re-gifts from the like low waste, no waste standpoint rather than going out and buying a bunch of crap that I know no one's actually going to use. And like that to me is so stressful. Like I'm to the point like this year where I don't even want to participate in, like, I celebrate Christmas. Um I don't even want to participate really. But that's kind of like a weird like double standard too, because it's like I do like receiving gifts, but I don't really need anything and I don't want any more junk cluttering up my life. So like this year, I will still probably participate, but I'm going to be asking for a donation to getting a new laptop because I need a new laptop in my life because I am in school, as I've said 800 times. And that would be hugely beneficial in my life. And what I need to do, I guess, is probably start going through my stuff and practicing the like re-gifting, possibly, or, you know, asking everyone in my life who I do give gifts for, what would be the most beneficial gift that I could get for you, instead of just coming up with something random, the week before Christmas and saying like, oh, I guess I'll just get her this a candle. Like, I know that she has like 600 candles, but hey, what's one more? Or a coffee mug, or like whatever it is. Like, I know my family. I know what they have, and I know that they don't need any more random gifts that they're not going to use. And like, I'm in the exact same boat. So I really, really like the gift regifting idea. Um, I also really like the like getting rid of clothes and like putting it in a little like community box. Like, hey, like this is all free, or like, it can even be more than clothes. It can be candles, trinkets, whatever you have laying around. Like, I always loved when I got your little boxes by my door of like all of your stuff, whether I kept it or not. I just liked going through it and seeing what was in there. Truthfully, it like made me really happy. I loved it. Um, but I can see like, you know, if I was in like that little girl's point of view, like going into the laundry room and being so excited to like potentially get a new t-shirt or whatever, like especially if you like can't afford something, like you need something new but like you don't really have the money to like spend on it right now. Like, if someone gave you an item that you could use, like that's everything. And I don't it can be like life changing. It's so funny, the things that can just come into your life when you least expect it, and when you do need something. um, and I think another really important thing that we could adopt into our lifestyle is borrowing. So instead of, let's say you're going to a gala event for your work, but you don't wear dresses ever. You've never had to wear a dress. You're never gonna wear a dress, but you have to wear a dress to this event. So do you go and buy a brand new dress? Is that your only option? Well, not really. You could buy one secondhand, which we all know is a great way, but you could also borrow one potentially from a friend. Even if that friend lives far away, maybe they can ship a dress in the mail for you, and then you can ship it back to them when you're done. And then you don't have to buy a brand new dress that you'll never wear, because this kind of goes into like the whole consumerism thing that is, destructive for our planet. And I know that consumerism is good for the economy in certain ways, but too much consumerism can be destructive as well. So I think just being really mindful of the things that we're purchasing and knowing why we're purchasing them. Like, am I purchasing this because I saw it on TV or on Pinterest or on Instagram? Or do I genuinely need it and love it and think that I'll use it every single day of my life? Because if you think you're going to use it and enjoy it forever, like, hell yeah, get it. Like, get it. It doesn't matter what it is, really. Like, if it's a brand new TV and you freaking love it and you know you're going to get, your money's worth out of it and all of that, like, get it. Yes. But like, don't just get things because like you think you need it to like look cool and when your friends come over. Like, if you have, if every person at the office has like this thing but like you don't really like care that much but you think you need it, like really discover like what your own like individual taste is, and like minimalism will get you closer to that as well. Like, I know that because I've gotten rid of so many clothes and so many things, like I know that I really thrive on very comfortable but very cute and chic looking items. Like I don't really like things that have like clothing, at least. I don't like clothing that has a lot of like crazy prints on it. I like my clothing to be a little bit more like subtle, and then I jazz it up with jewelry. But when I decorate, I love really bright tapestries and funky looking pillows and very cool, interesting rugs. But I also don't like having a lot of those things either. I like having like just a few things here and there, but I like them to be very, very, very unique. Um, and I think that's really cool too. Like if we do start like, in the future, like let's like fast forward like 100 years from now, like, and we're all practicing minimalism together and we're regifting everything, like everything that we get will be unique, and like we can upcycle and then give it away. Or we can adopt it from someone, like a dresser, for example, and then paint it whatever color that we want, and then regift that upcycled version to another person who will then upcycle it for themselves. Like we can get like very creative with the things that we own to upgrade them ourselves rather than trashing it and buying a whole brand new different thing because we think that it'll make us happy. I know I buy a lot of things, like, I mean, not that much, but I do tend to like purchase things or like get into a mode where like, oh, I need a new desk. I need a new desk because I think that it'll like make me feel happy or enhance my productivity, when it's not going to. Like only I can do that for myself. Like, yeah, I would like a new desk, but like I don't need a new desk right now. And like when the time is right, I will get a new desk, but like it's not going to enhance my productivity. I'm the one that can decide that. And like I can work around the barriers that I have with my desk right now until it's time to get a new one. So, and like I can be grateful for the thing that I have right now and really go into what kind of desk would suit me the best. Instead of just going out and buying one on a whim, I can say, like, okay, so if we really think about it, what are the problems that I'm having with my current situation? And then go into figuring out what is going to fix that. Is it a whole new desk or is it a side table? Or do I just need to get rid of a bunch of stuff? So it's really just like being mindful of like what is causing the problem? Like where is the fluke happening? And then that'll get you closer to deciding what will then be your next best option.
Yeah, yes. Cheers to all of that. um, yeah, I just feel like my space that I live in, I don't want to say it's a reflection of me, but my outside reflects my inside and vice versa. And I feel like I am constantly changing so much internally. And so, with that, naturally, the universe starts to align to where the things around us just change as well. And that includes my home and my belongings. And I think because I know how much I am changing and my style, and I mean, I still have there's certain things that I like themes and whatever, but in regards to like clothing, for example, I have a lot of really bright colored, crazy patterned things, and I like those things, but as I've gotten older, in this past year and a half, more or less, I'm starting to really get more into solid clothing items, a bit more, put together. Well, you can be put together and patterned, but just my wardrobe is changing, my colors, my tones, my things like that, and same thing with my belongings. And so for that, I think it's just like I don't feel this desire to invest in, expensive things. I mean, if I really like something, I'm gonna get it. I don't hold back from things if it's gonna make me feel really good, or if I really need a coat and this one's a little bit more expensive, then that's okay. Like I will buy that, especially if I can wear it for a long time. But I think so much of it too just has to do with where I'm at in my life and my situation, and how I choose to live nomadically, and just knowing that I'm ever changing always, and I want my items to cycle through, to recycle, to be reused. And I love the idea of just, borrowing or gifting between friends, and making it work that way, even with family members, trading items. And we've done that in my family. I do that in my friendships, and we all just kind of have each other's things, and it works. But then we get rid and we renew, and it's this constant cycle. You may think like, oh, I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff, but I get rid of a lot of stuff, and I always somehow accumulate more stuff, and I don't even know how it happens sometimes. It's just like people giving me stuff, or I don't even know, it just comes, and then I'm getting rid and getting rid. So I don't think you ever have to worry about not having enough. It's like stuff. Like, yes, we have our needs, our basic needs that we need to have, but and within households and whatever, especially with kids. So yeah, just finding what you need and what you don't need, and it becomes easier and easier the more that you do it. So yeah, I hope that helped. That's how I roll with it, and I think that's all I got to say about that today.
Yeah, I think we hit pretty much everything. I mean, we could go really, really, really deep and really, really broad with this topic too. And like maybe we'll do a minimalism part 2 if we get any like specialized questions about this, because with this type of stuff, it's really easy to miss different points, especially because everyone has a different point of view and a different lens that they're looking through. So like we just really want to encourage you to really make sure that you're not like comparing yourself to like anyone else's situation, because everyone has a different point of view and a different thing that they're doing in their life. Like some people have kids, some people are on a budget, some people can't afford to buy new things or replace old worn out stuff. So it's like, you don't have to feel pressure to get rid of everything all at once, or upgrade the things that like might be a little bit tattered. Like you can figure out your own way to work around it, but like just know that it is a practice, like Bridget said, and you'll get there eventually. And you'll probably find yourself, if you're at the beginning of this, like you'll probably find yourself getting rid of things honestly, every like couple of weeks to every month. Like you'll find little items every now and then, like, this just doesn't really like resonate with me anymore, or I haven't worn this in a while. So like you'll get rid of like, just a couple of things at a time, but it does add up. And you will probably see yourself collecting more items in place of that. I know that literally just happened to me with clothes. Like I got rid of a whole big box of clothes, and then I received more clothes, and I was like, I really like these clothes, but like I just got rid of a bunch of clothing. So now it's like the toss up of like, well, what do I decide to keep? Because I don't need all of this. So just being mindful and remembering like what you're letting into your home, and what kind of energy you want to keep. So yeah. If you're on your minimalism journey, let us know what you're having trouble with, Let us know if you have any advice for us, because we're all still learning and we're all kind of a team in this together. Like, we appreciate all of you who are doing this with us and listening along. And we'll share some more little tips and tricks about this along the way. So anyways, we love you. We'll let Bridget do our last remarks here.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into us. We so deeply appreciate each of you. And we do these talks to help us understand these topics better. We are still learning ourselves, and I believe that we are all students and we are all teachers, and we're all just helping each other out. So we love any comments, any feedback, questions, anything that comes to you that you'd like to share, or if you have any knowledge on these subjects yourself. I always love to learn more. So yeah, just know that this is like an open channel between us, and we want to connect with you guys, and we love you so much. And thank you for tuning into the Angel Academy, and we will see you soon.